in the combat in Gaza, the collaboration between the ground forces and the Air Force worked very well. What the Air Force did was, before the entry of the tanks and infantry into the built-up areas, was to provide very heavy bombing that flattened and destroyed many of the buildings, and so the entry was smooth with hardly any contact with the enemy. What's happening now in Gaza before the pause, especially in Zaytun, in Sajaiya, and other places, is that suddenly, and this is coming from the field, the Air Force is working at far less force in preparation for the entry of the infantry into the built-up areas. And the question is why? And I understand it as follows. The Americans are very sensitive right now to the subject of civilian losses, who in their opinion are uninvolved. So far, there have been around 10,000, some say more than 10,000, and there has been enormous pressure on Biden now. Before the elections, he'll have demonstrations, and from his own party. And one of the instructions that he has been giving us is not to harm innocent civilians. When you are working with such heavy aerial assistance, it does harm civilians, but it gives the soldiers the possibility of entering without many losses. When the Air Force is working less, the soldiers are going into territory that hasn't been cleared yet, that hasn't been destroyed, and we lose many more people. That's what's been happening recently in Zaytun. What's going to happen in the south will be many, many times worse.